analysis and discussions, and more focused should be on explanation of a research methodology, data collection tool, data collection method, and the results. I mean, you can keep one paragraph for each for, I mean, one paragraph each for each of these components, and that is what is the structure or a format of extended abstracts. Uh, Another question was, how can we construct a model for our thesis or a research paper? There are several theories for model building or model constructions. Starting from way back in 1957, James Beshels has provided with a theory of constructing the model till the latest amendment that has been carried out by James Jacquard in 2013. And these are purely the model constructions papers. I will be sharing you with certain papers which will be dealing with the model constructions, how to construct the model or how to build the model, model construction or model building. But these are pure papers on model construction and model buildings. However, for your particular area, subjects matter, the model construction would vary, and that you can get the idea in which, I mean, in your area, which one is the more popular way of constructing the model out of those several theories, such as hypothesis building, which is normally considered to be the superior method in case of management field. Then experts view experiment building. Experiment building is more superior way of constructing the model, particularly in pure science, right? But whichever the model you construct, I mean, through either of this method, either through the hypothesis building or experts view or experiment building, three aspects are most important for any model building, and these are establishing the causality, measurement, and matrices. These are considered to be the three basic aspects of, irrespective of which method you are using. One has to establish the causality, measurement, and matrices for building a good model. In case if you still have any questions at the time when we open up the forum for discussion, we will take that things forward. Moving forward, suggest a good book for data analysis understanding. I mean, those who are the beginners in data analysis, right, should start with. I mean, this is my understanding. Of course, there are hundreds and thousands of the books, and recommending certain names would be little bit difficult. But still, I just try to identify three layers of the researcher in terms of understanding, in terms of their understanding about the statistics. That is a beginner, mediocre, and pro. Pro means the highest level of understanding of the statistics. So the beginner can start with the business statistics by Gupta and Gupta. MP Gupta and SP Gupta is probably the name of the author. I mean, the name of the author for this book. Those who are at mediocre level should refer a book called Business Statistics by Ken Black, or any book nearby Ken Black, you can say. And those who really want to have a pro understanding, professional understanding about the statistics or data analysis, must go with the multivariate data analysis by uh, Hare and Black, Andrew Hare and Black and Babin and Anderson. I mean, these are four authors joined together, wrote a book on this multivariate data analysis. So these are some of the book. These are just the suggestive name. You can't. I mean, don't think like these are the only books available in the market. As I said that there are hundreds and thousands of the book. I just try to divide them in terms of your understanding or your level at which you are at present in your research. uh, how to write a proper literature review, and also references for educational research. There are several ways to write the literature review. One of, I mean, the entire literature review, writing the literature review can be divided into two aspects. One is the meta-analysis part, other one is the meta-synthesis part. Meta-analysis part means it is a statistical analysis of literature. Whereas meta-synthesis, which we normally call literature review as, I mean, our basic understanding of literature review is to refer the literature of, existing literature in our own field, then find out certain conclusive remark from those papers and write down our own literature review. Now, this method is known as meta-synthesis. Meta-analysis is entirely a different way of working altogether. Meta-synthesis. Now, if I talk about the meta-synthesis, again, meta-synthesis includes several ways of review of literature. One of them is a systematic literature review, another one is a thematic literature review, another one is a chronological literature review. So these are the ways of literature review. You can pick a hold on any of this. However, from the field of management, the systematic literature review approach is considered to be one of the uh, most accepted approach. And for that systematic literature review, I have developed one model. This is my own model, which I had developed just very recently. I call it as SRAM model, SRAM model. And these are four words, SRAM, which reflects the sourcing, reviewing, articulating, and manuscripting the literature review. So that, this is my way of having the literature review. You can very well refer the systematic literature review papers from your field and can design your own way of writing the literature review. Uh, Another question was references. How should I refer them? How should I put them in a reference list? The best way to identify the reference list is, of course, I don't deny, even if you use the uh, Bibliometric or Mendeley or EndNotes or any other software. However, frankly speaking, I personally do not have a good experience of working with those softwares. Database management softwares and referencing management softwares, actually. Because I came to know that, I have an experience that when I use Mendeley and I keep certain references in my paper, the Mendeley has not actually followed the format which I was actually expecting. So, for example, if I was expecting the Howard style, but I didn't get that Howard style, there were certain parts which were missing, and unfortunately, I submit that paper without, by trusting Mendeley blindly, and that was I submitted with one of the Elsewhere journal itself. Mendeley is basically an Elsewhere product, but the same Elsewhere journal, when my paper was reviewed, shared with me around 21 mistakes in my references itself. And that was, it really makes me upset, because I feel like I have used Mendeley, and how can Mendeley goes wrong? So my personal experience, you may have a good experience with Mendeley or Bibliographic or any other software. My personal view is, then onwards I stop using those Mendeley and any other things. My personal view is, you can refer those. You can take the references from Google Scholar. Put down the name or title, name of the author and title of the paper in Google Scholar, and click on the cite button whenever you will open up the Google Scholar, and there is a option given as a cite. So click on that cite button, and then Google will open up another window having the separate format of MLA style or APA style or Howard style or Vancouver style. So some 4 or 5 different style of referencing are available with Google Scholar. So I prefer Google Scholar over any other things. You can have your own way of writing the references. Is it necessary to address all the reviewers' comment? Yeah, even though we don't like, but the answer is yes, it is. It is must to respond to each comment of each reviewer. But I don't mean to say that to accommodate, to edit your paper according to each comment. I answered your question that you should address them. Addressing does not mean editing my paper. Even I have shown in one of, during that video, I have shown that I have received several comments from a reviewer with Global Business Review. This is a Sage journal, and one of my paper got published with that Global Business Review, GBS journal. Two of the comments of the reviewer with which I was not actually agreed with. I was completely disagree with those comments of a reviewer. However, I politely put up my comment that, though this is a good comment from reviewer, is not acceptable by the author, and the comment does not add any value to this paper. but I address that comment. So my humble request is not to hurt the ego of the reviewer, right? Though you are not going to spend your whole life with the reviewer. I'm generally those who have attended my earlier webinars, they knew that I am very blunt and very practical in dealing with the publication part. So practically speaking, I'm not going to marry the reviewer, right? So accepting their comments, whether in positive sense, negative sense, irrespective of anything, but addressing each of their comment is very essential. We are not here to hurt the ego of the reviewer, right? So we must address does not mean we change, edit, or accommodate each of that comments. There was another question regarding the covering letter drafting. Should we cover? I mean, the word. I mean, the question itself was just this much: covering letter drafting. So I assume that my participant wanted to ask me, should I draft the cover letter, or what should be the format of cover letter? Or I mean, I really don't understand the question, but I try to answer my questions. We will take again. We will take that things in detail when you unmute yourself and you ask me the same question. So yeah, you should always draft a covering letter and send it to the editor, because covering letters are something which editor always reads. Hmm. Editor always reads your covering letter, because very few are sending the covering letters, or even if they're sending the covering letters, they just put down the comment that I have submitted my paper and all those things. Dear editor knows that you have submitted your paper, and that's why you wrote a covering letter. So don't waste your wordings just by writing that I have submitted my paper to you, titled is so and so, dated on so and so, thank you for opportunity. No, you wasted your 3 lines. Don't waste those 3 lines, right? So what we should use, what we should put up in a covering letter. So the covering letter should put up your earlier publications. You should, it is an opportunity where you can showcase your existing work. I mean, you should put down which are your earlier publication, with which kind of a journal, on which kind of a titles and topics, and especially you should highlight those if your present paper and your earlier publications are in line with each other. Then you can put down your early presentation of the same paper. I mean, it may very well happen that the paper you are submitting to with the journal is the same paper which you have presented with some good conference. I have a habit. I first, I mean, whenever my manuscript is ready, na, I first share it with any conferences of IITs and IIMs. Let the paper get published, sorry, let the paper get accepted for presentation at IITs and IIMs, and post which I share the same paper with 35% corrections, because that's what the criteria is. With 35% corrections, I submit the same paper for publications with high-end ABDC journals. And in that letter drafting, I mean covering letter, I mentioned that this is a revised version of the paper being presented, accepted and presented at IIM Ahmedabad or IIT Delhi or IIT Mumbai. That will always have a good what you can say impression over the mind of the editor. So always write down where it was initially accepted and presented. You can also write down your contribution in your field, and never forget to write down the unique proposition or novelty that your paper is presenting. Because of course, I don't mean to say that you have not written down the same thing in your paper. Definitely you would have put up somewhere in your paper that this paper is novel, or this paper is recent, or this paper addresses certain research gap which are very novel, but that is a part of a paper, na? Here in a covering letter, you yourself put down those by 1 or 2 lines. And lastly, what attracts you the most to submit your paper with this journal? This means here you are praising the journal and editor. See, guys, I want you to balance between praising yourself in first, second, third. If you read it, it was simply praising yourself. And here you are praising to journal and the editor. This is a unique opportunity. You will never write down these things in your research paper. So covering draft should not include anything which a research paper has except that novelty part. Baki kuch bhi naya nahi, I mean, nothing should be there in a covering letter. everything about your contribution and why you choose this particular journal. That is only the something which you should mention with this covering letter. Coming further, moving further, so how to write a research problem, what and all it should include, it should contain. So first of all, though, I mean, as far as the research paper is concerned, it is a myth to always write the research problems. Huh? Many people have that misconception. Huh? Agar my research problem, if I won't write down the research problem, how would other understand my research area and everything? Sorry, boss. It is not necessary to write down the research problem in terms of a research problem statement. Of course, as a part of a theory, you can very well put down as a research gap that based upon the earlier existing literature, I found that this is precisely the gap yet to work upon. So that's what is still acceptable. But don't think like you should write down the research problem by putting up a title that research problem, right? So that's acceptable. Still, in case if you want to put down the research problem, then the research problem is nothing but the research gap has to be converted in terms of either research problem or research opportunity. It is not always the research problems. It could be a research opportunity as well. Huh? Problem means something went wrong in earlier system. That is what the problem. And something which is not addressed by earlier system, that is a research opportunity. So you should write down, of course, the popular word is a research problem itself, but you can identify the either research problem or research opportunity in form of a research gap, and that is something we should put down. So it should contain the existing gap in the present status of the knowledge in your particular area, in a particular field. Moving further, and non-paid journal relating to commerce for publications. I mean, the earlier question and these questions were together and was asked by the same participant. So if you want to publish with Scopus, then refer scimego.com. This is a Scopus service. I mean, this is a service of a Scopus wherein you can search the journal just by writing one word. Say, for example, you are from economics and just put down economics. If you are from accounting, just put down a word accounting. If you are from marketing, just put down a word marketing, and you will get hundreds of paper, hundreds of paper in that particular field listed with Scopus, right? However, most of them, though most of the Scopus paper and Scopus journals are free, there are several paid Scopus paper and Scopus journal as well. So all the Scopus journals are not free. However, if you go for ABDC, Australian Business Deans Council, ABDC list or Web of Science list, all the journals are non-paid with ABDC list. Right. I'm going to share those ABDC list with you. Not to worry. Soon I will share an email containing all those ABDC list and everything. Right. So this is from where you can get your non-paid journals from any field. Then there was another question. Kindly throw some light on how to draw conceptual model leading to hypothesis. Actually, I have a different understanding. Actually, model never leads to hypothesis. Rather, hypothesis always leads to a conceptual model. And to make you understand about how hypothesis leads to conceptual model, I have taken up this model. This is not my model, neither. I don't know whose model is this. I just put down model building in Google and I get that this particular model. So don't think that this model is a worthy model and all these things. Huh? I just took up this model, and now let's try to understand how hypothesis leads to this model building. Huh? So say, for example, my first hypothesis is H01 is technology leads to knowledge infrastructure capacity. And how did I build this hypothesis to build up a model? I drawn an arrow from technology to knowledge infrastructure capacity, and that arrow reflects the first hypothesis. Similarly, I can draw the second hypothesis as structure leads to this, culture leads to this. Similarly, hypothesis 4 would be, I mean, my fourth hypothesis could be acquisition leads to knowledge process capacity. 5 would be conversion leads to this, application leads to this, protection leads to this. Similarly, I can have eighth hypothesis as knowledge infrastructure capacity leads to organization effectiveness. Similarly, H09 could be knowledge process capacity leads to organizational effectiveness. So just through one single model, I'm going to test 9 hypotheses. You can have 3 plus 4 plus 2. So total 9 hypotheses joined together and constructed a conceptual model. This is what is the role of a hypothesis and a conceptual model. Now this is still a conceptual model. This conceptual model requires to be tested empirically. Empirically, in a sense, I should collect some data and I really wanted to understand, does this hypothesis holds true? Genuinely this happens that a technology actually leads to the knowledge infrastructure capacity? Is it actually that application leads to the knowledge process capacity, or protections lead to the knowledge process capacity? Is it really that a knowledge process capacity leads to organizational effectiveness? Does it play a significant role in organizational effectiveness or not? So for that, what I can do, I'll collect the data and empirically test this particular model. So this conceptual model then further converted into a measurement model, and then finally it's a structural model. And this is precisely why nowadays this structural equation modeling become very popular method in the field of management research. Now moving further, kindly specify on discussion part. I understand that my participant wants me to throw more light on how to write discussion part. And ethics of writing to editor if we need to communicate our grievances in case of a poor review. Okay, I'll take both the cases one by one. So to start with, first discussion. How to write discussion part? Generally we understand. I mean, most of us, those who are the early stage researchers, specifically, they feel like discussion is nothing but rewriting or writing the findings. I mean, we keep on writing that we found the average value as this much, and as with whether it was statistically significant or it was not statistically significant, etc. No, these are not discussions. Actually, discussion should not include any statistical values. You are actually, without using any statistical value, presenting it to a common man. A common man means somebody who is even not from your field. Just by reading your one paragraph or two paragraph, he should be in a position to understand these things. Say for example, we discussed that the present say for example, the present central government did very good work. Say for example, I don't mean to say that whether you believe this or not, but suppose I discuss with one of my common friend who is not from the field of management, neither from the field of politics. I was discussing with him. He's artist by nature. He's painter. So I was discussing to him that this present government did a very good, wonderful work during this COVID situation to handle COVID situation. He understood what I mean by. Rather, if I'll put the now, I'll change my wordings. I was discussing with my painter friend, and I say that as per my study, there is no significant relationship between what government did and did to control the COVID, and what are the actual reactions that has happened with COVID situations. Now, when I use this kind of a word, significant relationship, or I found that 38% of the government measures are not sufficient for COVID protection. You people can understand these things, but really, does my painter friend understand it? No, he won't be. So discussion should be written for a common man to understand, one who do not know statistics. And this is precisely why I mentioned that let your non-management or statistical colleague, sorry, it is colleague, huh? By mistake I use the word college. But your non-management or non-statistics colleague, maybe your life partner who is not from the same field, let her or let him read these things, your discussion part, and ask him, does they understood what you mean by? If they understood, na, it is a best discussion ever. Now coming to the next one, now next question, or the other part of the question, what about that grievance communication? Should we communicate our grievances in case of poor review? My personal advice, no. Avoid grievance communication, even if the review is poor. First thing, generally, with a good high-end journals, there is not a single reviewer. There are always, more than one reviewer. Generally, two or three reviewers are there. So, if it happens that one of the reviewer has actually reviewed it very poorly and give you several corrections, Second and third reviewer did not give you too many corrections, and editor always go through all three reviews. Editor in itself will understand the quality of review. You need not to put your grievances in front of editors. Why you should not put up your grievances in front of editor? I have three basic reasons behind why not to put our grievances regarding the poor review in front of editor. First, it is just reviewer's opinion. It may very well happen that we are not agreed to it, that those opinion. So don't worry, it is the understanding of the reviewer, and it's the opinion of the reviewer that we should make this correction and that correction and all. Second, there are always two, three reviewers, and editor will understand the quality of each reviewer. So you need not to worry. Editors are the experienced people. And third one, reviewers are not the paid one, right? So even if you put down your grievances, nothing is gonna happen. Hmm. Because reviewers are not the employee of the journal, right? Let the editor and the journal editorial board decides what to do with those reviewers. Let's not keep, I mean, let's, and always think like, nah, you are not going to spend your whole life with that reviewer. And do not worry, one single review, if it's a high end quality journal, one single review or reviewer cannot spoil your whole paper. I have seen that things. I've always observed. I have that experiences. One single poor review would not spoil your whole paper. There are two, three others who will save your paper, not to worry about. Is it advisable to check the plagiarism after writing each chapter of thesis? Is it safe to do so? Yeah, you should. You should always check your each chapter and make your each chapter plagiarism free. So once your all the chapters are free from plagiarism, naturally your entire thesis is plagiarism free. So you should. Hmm? There is another question. Sorry, just let me put that. Let me charge the laptop. Okay, so there is another question. Can Quillbot free version be used for paraphrasing article or thesis, or there are any chances of data insecurities? First of all, um, please don't take me other way, participant whosoever has asked this question. Where is the question of data insecurities? Why we go for paraphrasing? We know that we are taking something which are directly available in the world, right? So this is nothing which is my own. And if there is nothing which is my own, there is no question of data insecurity. So first take that things out from the mind, that my data is insecure. It is not your data. It is not your work. You are putting them for paraphrasing. It means it is not our one. Hmm. Uh, Not only Quillbot, there are hundreds of such paraphrasing softwares or online tools available, such as Quillbot, paraphrasing-tool.com, edu bid BRIDIE bidit.com, reviewer tools, article rewriter, pre-post SEO, Rapidapi, uh, uh, Ref and Write. They all are paraphrasing either online or online services or a softwares, and all are safe to use. But my own question, can any software ever replace our own understanding? I really don't think so. I don't mean to say that. I want to say, I really don't mean that you should not use this kind of art, this kind of services. My only concern is whatever I can write, not a single software in the world can write. So avoid using, as far as possible, avoid using paraphrasing softwares, and try to be as natural as you can in your writings, because being a natural in our writing will make you a very good researcher, and you will gain a confidence to publish with FT50 journals, though not today, after 5 days, after 5 years or 10 years, because FT50 means top 50, 50, top 50 journals in the field of management, right? So none can replace your understanding. No software can do that things. Online plagiarism checker are safer or not? Yes, online plagiarism checkers are safe. Not to worry much on that online plagiarism. However, Urkund and Turnitin, I mean, those who are using these two softwares, I mean, I come across several researchers. They are putting up this question mark in front of me. They call me up and discuss with me that generally when you put your thesis or paper with Urkund or Turnitin, they keep those thesis or paper in their memory, and whenever the next time you put your thesis, it shows that you have 98% plagiarism. Right. Of course, there are certain setups with Urkund and Turnitin also. So once you run these kind of a setups, then it will not show 95, 96% short of plagiarism. But not to worry about the safety part on using these plagiarism checkers. I personally use small SEO tools to check the plagiarism for every paper that I published, or even I use the same for my thesis. I never found any difficulty. Neither I ever found any leaking or any security issues with small SEO tools. The only problem with small SEO tools is because it's a free online software for plagiarism check, so you cannot put down more than 1,000 words in small SEO tools. So I have to put down 3 4 paragraphs in small SEO tools, and my habit is that I'll make it 0%. I make the plagiarism to I take it to 0%, and then only I'll submit those paper with the high end journals. Touchwood, as of now, I never get any journal who shared I mean send my paper back to me with a reason that your paper is plagiarized one, or it goes beyond the plagiarism policies of our journal. So small SEO tool is something which I can, on my based on my personal experience, I can recommend the same to you. Another question was, should we mention the separate bibliography in the thesis to include the name of the books apart from the references? I understood that you want to put down the separate sections. I mean, you may have a separate subsections for papers, books, or online sources. We call it as a web references, but that is for thesis. For research paper, you should not keep the subsections in your bibliography. It should be commonly and thoroughly. And a very recent question, last question almost was, can you explain with the example of principal component analysis, which part of PCA we need to include in research paper versus thesis? Of course, it's not only with PCA, but if you go for any statistical analysis, you know where we lack in terms of statistical analysis. This is what I generally found, that we hardly consider the assumptions of those analysis. We simply jump onto the analysis. We are excellent using and clicking SPSS. We don't understand why we click that part of SPSS. We all know how to click SPSS. Most of us don't know why to click those part of SPSS. Why do I click those? I mean, whatever the button which we click. And in most of the seminars, webinar, conferences, people teaches us. I mean, the statistician do teaches us what to click. Hardly they teaches us why to click this. So always question mark on that why part. It means first always run the assumptions, always run the analysis step by step, and finally whatever the values that SPSS gives. Now we generally have several tables after SPSS analysis. What generally we used to do, we just copy the table, paste it into our Word file, and we put the present the same in our research paper. Sorry boss, that is not the acceptable format. You have to redo your own tabulations, and those tabulation format must be either in line with what is the policy of the journal, or generally acceptable formats. And if you see the high end journals, you will never see the tables which are copied and simply pasted from Amos or SPSS or Jamovi or Excel or R or any software, any statistical software that you use. Please pardon me for using the word only SPSS. We have hundreds of statistical tools which we use, but don't simply put down all those values and simply don't put down the same format of the table. Don't do that things, please. You design your own table. Just take those values from your SPSS output and put down those values in our table. So yep, so these were certain questions. Of course, one of the participant tries to make me understand certain other issues, but I think some madam was there. But ma'am, I'm so sorry. I really could not make out what exactly your question was. So I just request you, if you are present, uh, you can just unmute yourself and you can ask me the same questions which you are trying to ask on that WhatsApp group. So now I'll keep the floor open for any questions that you have in your mind. You can unmute yourself and you can directly ask the same, ask the questions. PDFs of those books. I think I have PDF of that Can Black book, and I may be having a PDF of that Heron Black book. But yeah, those books I will share it with you through email. Yes, now floor is open for question answer. You can unmute and you can ask the question.
Good evening, sir. Hello.
Yes, yes, ma'am, please.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Meghna. Sir, it is necessary that
Good
it's
evening.
like in a thesis, hypothesis is required.
Uh, Generally, for thesis, the guides are very fuzzy generally to put down the hypothesis, and that too in a statement format. However,
Okay,
if I
sir.
talk about the research paper, it is absolutely not required, and even high-end journals like FT50 or Web of Science or ABDC, they discourage their researcher to write down the hypothesis in that statement format. It is very weak of presenting the hypothesis.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. And next question is relating to, sir, it's like after a confirmatory factor analysis, what are the things we can do, sir, after confirmatory factor analysis? Example, I will use, it's like sometimes it's like some people's they suggest that it should be a metric data. It's like which can be analyzed. But when it is coming for some of the conceptualizing, when it is coming for conceptualizing, it's like non-metric data also plays a very valid things. It's like some of the things it is a, like a theoretical also it plays a very important role. For that, any suggestion can you tell, sir?
Ma'am, actually, I took this your entire question in two different section. One is what we can do after CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. Post confirmatory factor analysis, you can very well go with model building, and using the structural equation modeling, you can uh, not only measure the model but validate the model. And even if you want, you can further go. You can go further with analyzing the effect of mediator, moderator. These are the further steps which you can take further as far as statistical analysis is concerned after CFA. And your second question was, yeah, non-metric data. Non-metric data also plays a very significant role. I completely agree with you, ma'am. But for that non-metric data, please don't go for the structural equation modeling and all. Rather, there are several other multivariate data analysis methods such as MANOVA and many other cluster analysis and all. So these are several other methods which can be applied on those non-metric data, and you can bring out wonderful results out of it.
Okay, sir. In a thesis, we can use both metric and non-metric. Example, we will
Definitely.
be taking certain factors. It's like a factors. We will be conducting a questionnaire. We will be giving a questionnaire which contains both metric and non-metric data. As you have suggested, for metric data, can I go for model building? For non-metric, the same factors. It's like it can be splitted. Non-metric means it's like, can I go with MANOVA and cluster analysis, sir? It means that you told in that way.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. But that all depends upon, as far as thesis or a paper is concerned, that all depends upon your objective, right?
Okay, sir.
So
It's
if
like
your
we can
objective
use
allows,
both.
yeah, you
It's
can use
like
that. Absolutely.
Example, sir, one of my objective is what are the factors which is influencing to go for crowdfunding. It is a
Hmm.
recent financial alternative what is available, and it is a trendy alternative what
Hmm.
majority of people are using. But when it is coming for Indian point of view, we have a very little research it has happened, sir. It's like all it is relating to theory. It is like in the base level it has happened. It's like it is a good or bad, what is the advantage or a disadvantage of using it. But when it is coming for a thesis, we cannot use that. So it is like hypothesis and all it is required. So one of my objective is what are the factors. It is like to study the factors which is influencing to go for crowdfunding. It contains a both metric and non-metric data. This was the problem where it is like when it is coming for foreign thesis also I look forward, where it is like it's like different scenario it is will be shown, but it is coming for Indian level it is different. That was the confusion what I am in, sure. It's like it is a confusion what I have.
No, ma'am, you can use both. I mean, there is no restrictions that once you use the metric data, you cannot use non-metric. No, it's not nothing like that. You can use both, right?
Yeah, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for
Welcome.
addressing my issue.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, any other question? Uh, yeah, one of the question is how we can build our own model in our thesis. Uh, Here you require several example. I really don't know what is your area of thesis and study and all, but uh, as I put up, do identify hypothesis, several hypotheses, 1 2 3 4 10 20, and then try to put those hypotheses down in a causality format in a sense, who causes what. Hmm. Which are those variables which causes the other variable? So need to identify the dependency and independency. I mean dependent and independent variable, and then just try to put down all those dependent independent variable. Draw a line. I mean draw an arrow between them, that which depends on whom, and that will lead to your model building, constructing the model. Right. Yes. Any more question? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Ma'am, ma'am, actually, your voice is cracking. I suppose there is some internet connectivity issue. Little better, but not 100%. Please, ma'am, go on. Hello, ma'am. You please write down the question because it's absolutely not audible. That would do, ma'am. That would do. Yeah.
Sir, can I ask once again the question, sir?
Yeah, please, ma'am.
Sir, I want to know what is the difference between a theoretical framework and conceptual model. It's like theoretical framework and a conceptual model. This is a first question, sir.
Okay. Ma'am, theoretical framework does not include the relationship between variables, whereas the conceptual model shows you those relationship. So the conceptual model is a stage post theoretical framework. Once you design your theoretical framework, and post which, based on that, you design your conceptual model. You build your conceptual model.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Next question is, sir, it is regarding, it's like we have taken a variables. Example, we are doing a thesis or something. It's like paper or anything. We are taken variables from, it's like a Indian study or a foreign study. How to write, sir? It's like how to write. It should be in a theoretical framework or it is a conceptual model, sir.
Yep,
Example, we have taken independent variable or a dependent variable from others. It's like we can take in thesis, right, sir? It's like
I
it is
understand.
allowed.
Yes,
Uh,
it's conceptual, ma'am. Conceptual, and even conceptual model is still not the full way. I mean, you did not reach to the destiny. The destiny is post conceptual model, the measurement of this conceptual model. That's the destiny. Empirical testing is always a destiny. Otherwise, I have my own belief. I mean, um, I feel like more the number of time I watch the advertisement on television sets, more I am prone to clicking on or searching for that product, more I am prone to buying that particular product. Now, this is my conceptual understanding. Hmm. But this is my
okay, sir.
understanding. It may very well happen that when I conduct the same study and taking the opinion from 1,000 of the respondents or 2,000 of the respondents, probably my understanding does not hold true. Right. Yes.
Okay, sir.
So conceptual model building would not be considered as the end result. It's still you are at midway. You need to take it further to analysis part.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. There
It's
is
like we can
yeah,
use variables from others study also, correct now, sir? It's like when
definitely,
we are doing,
definitely,
but
ma'am.
we need to give a reference. These are the
100,
models or this one which we have
100,
taken from the
100,
study.
100%. I mean, to my all new research scholar that used to connect to me, na, I used to ask them. I mean, I used to always advise them. The research is as old as I mean now it's 300, 400 years before which the research has started. So in last 300, 400 years, do you really think that some variable which today I think of would have never been thought by somebody before 300, 4 I mean during this 300, 400 years? Not possible.
Exactly true, sir. It's like
Not possible.
it is very true, sir. When what you are telling, it is exactly true, and it's like whatever it is, a content may differ from country to country based on whatever the technology or anything it has been used. But whatever it has been, it is country to country it varies. But when it is coming for overall, whatever it is used by others, that only we should use, and we need to test it on the point
Ex-
of view of
ex-
what it has happened
ex-
in our state or it is coming to India.
Correct. Exactly. I mean, I used to use the word that whatever Parshuraman and Jethamal has tested in terms of their so-called model, right, in 90s. Okay. The same circle model I am using for Amazon today and feeling like because that point of a time there was no Amazon, there was no online buying. So I am doing something which is, I mean, something which is very, something is being carried out for very first time. Sorry, boss, that has already been carried out by Parshuraman and Jethamal way back in 1987. We are just replicating the same thing by changing the product. They might have done it on restaurant and hospitals. I am just changing the product and make it to online buying. That's it. Otherwise, both of us are doing the same thing, measuring the service quality of uh, that particular product. So that is only the change which generally we used to do. Uh,
Uh,
yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So, one request from the participants' side, it's like whatever it is, like a videos, whatever you are given yesterday and day back, it's like sometimes if we are feeling it's like something we need to know. That it's like PPT, it will be usable, sir. But when it is coming for it's like video, if it is available, it will be more useful. Example, some of the part which we get a confusion that you have explained very clearly regarding that. It's one request
I
if it is
agreed,
possible.
ma'am. But it's something which is not feasible. I'm always there with you, right? At any point of a time, any one of you are feel free. You can share me your paper. You can share me your problems wherever you stuck up. Right. That would be feasible. Video would be little complex aspects, ma'am. And
Okay, sir. It's
extremely sorry.
nice and thank you, sir. It's like when it is coming for research, definitely I feel that it's somebody who is it's like who know better. They guide it gives a right direction for a new research to improve themselves, sir. It is thank you and thank you so much, sir, for that.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you. There is one more question, and I feel that it's a very generic and very important question. That, sir, on deviation, what will be your advice from your expertise on problems to be faced during publishing paper on fundamental concepts? Uh, uh, the major problem with fundamental concept, I mean conceptual paper, is first the expertization. Because when we use any statistical tool, at least your tool, your data supports whatever you try to communicate. But when we talk about exclusively about those conceptual papers, you don't have any data to support your arguments, and thereby the editorial board, I mean the editor and the reviewer, expect you to have a very high quality of arguments, very high quality of arguments, which generally is a missing aspects at the early stage of the research. I really don't mean to say that you cannot write the fundamental or conceptual paper. You can very well write the conceptual paper, but not at the early stage of your research. It may take a time. One second, it requires you to dig into the same matter or same topic for years. Third, you require to really be the expert of that field. Then only that fundamental or conceptual paper are accepted. Now again, the problem lies with, because such conceptual paper are written by only a few top level people, henceforth entry is a major barrier when we talk about publishing your fundamental conceptual papers. So these are the basic problems which normally anybody who is planning for writing the conceptual paper used to face. What I suggest to somebody, I mean, in case if you are planning for writing the fundamental or conceptual paper, what I suggest is you should start with statistical paper. I mean, paper with a statistical supports. Gradually, over a period of time, reduce the emphasis on statistics. You can write your first paper which is completely statistics based. Second paper which you write, you reduce the percentage of statistics. Again, you reduce the percentage of statistics. Gradually, it's a journey from complete quantity to complete quality or fundamental or conceptual papers. Right. So it's a journey and should go through that journey step by step. So rather than thinking um, to write down the conceptual paper and feeling like it gets accepted, the acceptance level for conceptual paper is very less, very less. Okay, there is one more question, sir. Kindly throw some light on conceptualization model that is pretty important for giving rise to hypothesis, as my topic of research is empirical study on HR practices in FHRAI hotels of West Bengal, domain hospitality and tourism. Abhijit Ghosh, sir, you can read the papers from the journals of hospitality and tourism. There are several journals of hospitality and tourism available on Scopus. I told you to refer SCI Mego. I am just typing that platform. So scimego.com, this is a Scopus services, and you just type this SCI Mego in Google. It will open up a homepage of SCI, and you just type your area of work, for example, hospitality and tourism, and you will get hundreds of papers. From those papers, please identify the variables first. Hypothesis, yes, sir. Hypothesis is to be based on variables. Suppose if you have two variables, you will hypothesize that variable X depends on variable Y. So to construct a hypothesis, you require variable. So variable is the first stage. Once you have several variables, you can construct those hypotheses that X has relation with Y, X has relation with Z, X has relation with A, Y has relation with only A, with none of the others. Similarly, you can construct your variables. Construct your hypothesis. And once your this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hypotheses are available to you, then you put down those hypotheses in a meaningful conceptualization model. I assume that you were a part where I have shown this particular model. Let me just share this PPT once again. So this particular model This was uh, the combination of several hypotheses joined together. Say, for example, your first variable was technology, structure was another variable, culture was third variable, knowledge infra capacity was fourth variable, right? And then you joint variable technology with knowledge infra capacity through a hypothesis called H01. So hypothesis means two variables joined together. Similarly, several hypotheses joined together that produces a model called conceptual model, right? So sir, now you can unmute yourself and you can discuss or ask anything which you have in your mind, sir, please.
So yes, I already had unmuted. First of all, thank you so much for giving such a wonderful presentation, which I went through. The PPT was fabulous. With your vast
Thank you.
experience, which you're holding, being a true research laureate, we get to learn. So we are a novice, and we are learning a lot in step by step to our daily life of getting ourselves used to the research. So
Yes.
in the tourism and hospitality, particularly, we have a very limited ground. Like, though my specialization, if you say AOS, area of specialization, is absolutely wine, but sir, in India, if you talk about wine, you just cannot go in for a quantitative. We
Okay.
need to go in by the qualitative. But my first forte would be to go in by the quantitative research. Somehow I feel, I presume, or I protrude that quantitative I should go by. And there I feel I studied, I found that even if I travel off to Nasik in Mumbai, or even if I
Hmm.
go off
Hmm.
to Goa, I
Hmm.
would get to find some wonderful variety of varietals of wine, but then I can't really go in by the virtual process, or a process which is required, which is vinification of viticulture, which you require to go in by the field. So, sir, for the domain where my specialization is wine, I took a call that I should go in by the human resource. So, in to drift myself across to the human resource, I found again HRM is a huge spectrum. It has got
Yes.
broader spectrum where I have to study quite a bit, quite a vast, and of course, keeping everything in consideration, I felt let me have few advice from Dr. Hiren. So if he can give something of that. So I got the point, sir, where I have to go in through at least 80 to 100 journals to go in by the various variables where I can be able to go in with the conceptualization model, finally giving rise to the hypothesis.
Sir, if because tourism, hospitality and tourism is something which is very rapidly coming up in terms of the sector, not only in terms of research papers and research, but also in terms of its contribution to Indian economy.
Very
Right.
true.
Sir, considering that aspects, of course, Australia is considered to be the country and continent. Australia
Absolutely.
as a country and a continent, right?
Absolutely.
Is a hub for hospitality and tourism. Almost,
Absolutely.
almost their economy lies on that hospitality and tourism
And
part.
sir, it has got a wonderful in terms of like a new world wine. Because sir, if we
Yes.
talk about Australia, as you just threw the word, it is one of a country which has got one of the best resource in terms of matching the generic wines of France, Italy, Germany, which we all know
Yes.
about. But sir,
Yes.
with Australia, it's got wonderful, wonderful wines, and it's got a wonderful resource, of course. Please.
Yes, sir. So I was actually coming to that aspects only that uh, for you as a researcher in this particular field, and because you picked up a very niche area to study, I personally feel like if you can refer certain papers been published in Australian context and get some idea about what further can be done in this particular domain, because very frankly speaking, I'm not from the domain of hospitality tourism and wine. I mean, as such, I belong to Gujarat. So Gujarat being the dry state, we are far away from this. What you can say, the
Sir,
concepts which
not
you are
only
trying to
Gujarat,
study.
sir, with due respect to an honor which you have given me so much of a time to just express your view, not only Gujarat, I would say it my knowledge, I've been into the education field for plus 23 years, but trust me, sir, you ask me anything on the wine, I can throw in an answer. But to match India's context of wine with Australia or any other country, it's out of reach
Very true.
because the climatic conditions sustaining in those places are something which is beyond anyone's
Very,
captivity.
very
The
true.
the marl, the loam, the chalky soil, the calcium, you should get to find that in the soil. Sir, the gravel. These all are the composition of the soil actually leading us to something which we called a vin, which is wine.
Hmm.
So,
Yes.
sir, in terms to be into the wine, you equally require to yourself having good knowledge in France, in French words. So, keeping those terminologies in consideration, though my situation looks very dim, but sir, I would give it a try in looking forward to the papers because, sir, quantitatively, if you talk about in my sample, I cannot really go off to Australia to collect it. If I would have been
Definitely.
having that feel once I was in US, I rather haven't had felt of that I would go in for the research in one fine day of my life. Had I been, because I was there in for 3 years in California, and I have done my specialization in Napa Valley, Beringer, and Woodbridge, Robert Mondavi. So, sir, those are something out of any human, normal human's imagination. Talking
Correct.
with the master share of the wine
Wine
culture.
in the culture.
So,
True.
sir, it's a viticulture which you get to find mastering yourself with a master blender or how easy doing the process in that vineyard. It itself is a dream. But then, sir, I really think I cannot go in by the quantitative with your views and opinion taken into consideration. Please throw some light.
Yes, yes, sir. I completely agree with these aspects because if the same context you try to put down in India, I mean in Indian context, right? It's gonna be even a different challenge altogether, right, sir?
Absolutely.
So yes, sir. So I mean, I could read that you wanted to focus more on HR practices, right? So that
So
would
no other
be
options left out. Either I have to go in by the learning and development L&D, which is called the training cell, or I have to go in by the human resource management HR practices. Now, sir, taking the consideration of me being in West Bengal, and FHRI is Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India, wherein it is a governing body which actually collaborates the hotel coming under the norms and the nomenclature taken into consideration to pull it into the bracket of FHRI.
hmm,
There are notable, sir, 5 to 6 hotels in West Bengal, rather in Kolkata, which is falling under the FHRI. All hotels do not fall under the FHRI. So, sir, I have to go in by that human resource practices in terms, and I think, sir, HRM again, I back to the square and said that it's a pretty big, vast area. I need to go through the data and the articles pretty strongly, and maybe I rather, taking your words in consideration, should go in by 70 to 80 if not 100 papers, finally drawing the line and then conceptualizing the model, and which enable me to go in further. Of course, that is
def-
all I can feel of, sir. But I wish,
definitely.
with your vast experience taken into consideration, as you're saying that you really rather would have loved to help me, but sir, finding India into the region where we cannot do justification to our research in quantitative analysis in wine, rather it is all through and through left to be in for qualitative. Well, to be the reason, sir, if you would have been in like in Pune, rather, sir, that particular field would have given me some kind of an area. But then, sir, if really have to do a research, I need to do a research in a solitary way, which will give me a broader understanding, make the society enrich about my understanding, and making others feel that actually I have done it by keeping head on shoulder.
Very true, sir. Very true, sir. And sir, in case if you really want to go with pure quali part, right? Do get in touch with me. There are a few of my friends who
I'm
are.
highly honored, sir. I have heard a
Yes.
lot about you. Trust me. In three
Thank you,
days,
sir.
I haven't got, sir. I just went through the second day PPT, taken the other things into consideration. But, sir, your vastness to the field, as I was drawing through the PPT, which you have drew a very final line about day one and day two, and finally coming to the Q&A session of day three. I missed out on the first day of the sir, video, but I went through the second day of the video. I mean, it's wonderful. And
Thank
it
you,
would be
sir.
an honor, sir, because, sir, a bit of knowledge enhanced from your end would enable me or inculcate me to grow further. So, share of knowledge is
Definitely.
something which is stupendous, which you hold.
Definitely, sir.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
And as I said, sir, I would love to get in touch with you. Even if you'll be going for a quali part, I'll refer you to some of my research friends who are actually the from the field of quali part, and they are doing wonderful work with quali. And I'm sure that they would be happy by the concepts with which you will be going ahead with your study, sir.
It's gracious, sir. It's a
Sure,
gracious one. Thank you so
sure,
much
sir.
for all
Thank
those
you, sir.
wonderful words of, sir, motivation. And of course, I wish, sir, if I can be able to give some paper or something of that kind, which can really enable you to make you proud. And once you get me introduced to the quali, and I'm sure that's a time will reveal that whether I can be able to give you justification on this wonderful webinar which you hold. And I'm sure that
Sure.
it would be coming in virtually to the platform in coming years or coming months in succession. It's an honor for
Sure,
each one of us to have you presence in the Google platform, sir. Thank you so much.
sure, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Moving further, there is a question from Hiral Pathak. Generally, we write the thesis by referring many articles, websites, books, etc. How we need to cite them? I mean, we need to cite every lines of the lines or paragraphs. Citation, no. Actually, Hiral, you might have understood it in a different sense. Uh, there is two way. One is citations, another one is referencing. So citation means once you read the book, articles, or refer anything on websites, right? You are required to summarize it. We all researchers are required to just summarize that. And that summarization, even though the summarization is being carried out by me, I mean me as a researcher, though the original writer should get the due credit of it, and that is what we call it as a citations. Summarization, in better sense, we call it as a paraphrasing as well, wherein we rewrite the conclusion or the crux of the research paper of someone else with by providing the due credit to those researchers. So there is no need to have a citations for I mean going to your questions. Uh, Not necessary that every line should have a citations. In case if it is purely your own words, there is no need for citations. But if these are the words or a conclusion drawn from someone else's work, then it requires the citation. It may very well happen that in one single line you may cite several papers. So don't think like one line, one citations. No, one line could be a conclusion drawn from three, four different papers. So there could be three, four citations under one single line for one single line. It may very well happen. Then there is another question, sir. I am coming from the Ayurveda psychology background. It is easier for us to prepare a paper on fundamental concepts compared to both Ayurveda and modern physiology, but getting them published is difficult. Can you suggest a way out? Sir, I told you the same, that of course I completely agree with. See, for medicine and Ayurveda, and to great extent this biology and chemistry, right? For them, uh, the research paper should not be simply getting the data through questionnaire or some other tools, the way management people used to do. For them it is not that easy, neither they can go ahead with that method. So for for those medical and paramedical science background people, I would researcher, I would always suggest to go ahead with the experimentations. Hmm. So collect your data through experimentations. Experimentation in terms of course, I am not from the field of Ayurveda, but I'm sure that you would be having several medicines, the dosage of the medicines. So the experimentations could be in that form. Experiment them. So for pure science, experimentation is considered to be the strongest form of a research, and support your hypothesis or support your understanding or support your fundamental conceptual thoughts with those experimentations. That will lead to a higher probability of acceptance of your research paper. Right. So go for experimentation as one of the tool to collect the data in your particular field and design your experiment. There are several theories to design the experiments. Right. And designing the experiment is relatively easier in case of a medical and paramedical science as compared to the management field. So design your experiment in a very unique way and then put that experiment, just document that experiment, convert into manuscripts, and put it forward in front of the editorial board. I'm sure that the probability of getting acceptance would be very high as compared to simply writing down your fundamental understanding about your field of study. There is another question, sir. As you said, we will use Google Scholar to cite the reference, but sir, how to cite the in-text citations? Again, Gayatri, I feel like you have wrongly considered the citations and referencing. Citations and references are two different aspects, right? Citations means uh, providing the due credit to the author, and it is a part of your research paper. That citations would be of two types. It could be either parenthesis or it could be in-text citations. When if it is an in-text citations, I'll give you an example. Suppose if you write it as uh, Patel and Padhi 1985 concluded that so and so. So this is in-text citations. But if you write it as there is no big deal in political science to get the votes by making the payments into bracket. Now this is a statement been given by Patel and Padhi, and now that statement has been given by this study has been carried out by Patel and Padhi, and you write down the sentence, and then you have a bracket, you have a parenthesis, and write down Patel and Padhi 1996. So that is the parenthesis citations. So these are all about citations. Now if I talk about the references means a list of all citations, popularly known as bibliography. So for bibliography, for carried out the bibliography, to prepare that bibliography reference list, you should use the Google Scholar. And when you use that Google Scholar, if this screen is visible to you, and if I'll write down the Google Scholar, let me just search some paper for you and show you how can you cite that paper. So for example, I am from the field of supply chain. So let me write down the name supply chain. Now this is this is not the paper, this is a book. Yeah. Say for example, this is a paper and you want to cite that paper, right? So there is a symbol like this. This is a citations. Now look at this. The same paper, if I am going to write MLA format, I can just select this, copy and paste it to your Word file. MLA format, APA format, Chicago format, Harvard format, Vancouver format. So these five formats are readily available with Google Scholar. Even if you add this particular paper to your BibTeX or EndNote or RefMan or RefWork, these are the what you can say the reference. These are some of the softwares or applications which will provide you the facilities of references. So these are reference management software, and if you want to put down this particular citations to that reference, you just click on it and it will directly add to your BibTeX account or EndNote account or RefMan account. So this is how we call it as a references. So please don't confuse between references and citations. Yes. Any other questions? Yes. Any more questions from audience? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Neeta ma'am, for your words of appreciation. I assume that now no more questions is, I mean,
Sir,
yes,
yes,
sir.
good evening, sir.
Evening, ma'am. Yeah,
Sir,
please go on.
sir, one question from my part that can
100%.
we publish a part of our thesis as a research paper?
100%. You should. You must rather.
Okay.
Right.
Sir, then, sir, please put some light on self-plagiarism, sir, whether while completing our thesis, if we check for plagiarism, so whether that will be called for self-plagiarism, some opinions are confusing that way.
No, ma'am. There is nothing like self-plagiarism. I mean, even if it's my work of thesis, it
Yes,
must be published. It must be published because it is my work. So you can jointly publish it along with the name of your
right, sir.
guide, yeah, of your PhD guide or somebody who help you out. And there is nothing like I mean, there is no question mark on your integrity or doubt on your plagiarism part when it comes to the self plagiarism. So need
And
not
so
to
that
worry.
we can attach with our thesis, sir, for final submission for as a
Definitely, definitely, ma'am. There are several universities. Even I did the same when I submitted my paper. There are several universities which are always asking to submit all the papers. I mean, documents or publications during the PhD work. Because, ma'am, on one side, UGC and other bodies are compulsorily asking us to submit the paper and publish the paper before putting down the thesis, right? And on
okay,
other side, if I don't go ahead with the same work which I carried out during the thesis, how would I get published my research paper and submit my thesis? So not to worry on that particular aspects of self plagiarism, even if it exists, and even if Urkund or Turnitin or any other plagiarism software caught it out that yeah, this is the paper which has already been published by Gayatri Padi, need not to worry, your university is so considerable that they will never question mark on your integrity, because ultimately the basic purpose of plagiarism is to just put the barrier against the integrity. That's it.
okay. So thank sir. Again, one question is that what you talked about small SEO tools.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is free to check plagiarism.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
With a
so,
limitation that it checks only for 1,000 words at time.
sir, and that data will be saved in some repositories if we check for our thesis part and
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
uh,
I haven't come across. I mean, I keep on checking my papers with small SEO tools,
okay,
several times, but I never come across that my data has been kept or stored in their memory. And when I check the paper for next time, it shows me the same plagiarism. No, it never. I mean, I never come across this kind of a things. I'm using small SEO tools since 2014. I mean, it's now 6 7 years I'm using that particular online software, but I never face any sort of problem.
okay, okay. Sir. Thank you so much for the
Mm.
wonderful session, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Yes, any more questions from audience? Okay, so I suppose taking it to the end of this the whole discussion, and I hope that I would be in a position to justify and satisfy your expectations, whatever with which you enter for this particular webinar. And our group is there. My contact number is there with you. At any point of a time, wherever you stuck up in any quality publications, you can very well connect to me. One thing is very sure, that I may be or may not be from your area of research. My area of research would be different than your area, but one thing I can understand, that is what is essential aspects to publish with the quality journal, whether you are from a pure science, technology, engineering, computer science, management, or any field, right? So every field requires certain do's and don'ts. Of course, I may not be the expert in your field. I may not be the one who can suggest you the theory of your field, but I may be definitely the one who can suggest you how to use that. I mean, how to use your own understanding of your field to put it on a piece of paper and get it published with the high-end journals. So with this note, I thanks to you all and Anand Education Foundation to provide this particular platform, and it was a very wonderful journey to be with you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.